For Jimmy Butler, this was only his third home game with the team. Remember, the trade deadline was when they're on a road trip. They just got back from a 5-game road trip. Before he left, Jimmy Butler said he needed to find a place to live. And also his kids were going to come visit him now that he's home for so long. So that's the personal stuff for Jimmy. So, what did you see in the game?
I mean, third game with the Warriors, and already now his most points with GSW, 26. This is key. Generational Jimmy Butler, scoring all three levels, and not only scoring, 5 assists and also getting rebounds. Like, he is impacting the game in so many different ways. When you think about where the Warriors were struggling to get a little bit of separation, to also calm their pace down. They were going a little bit crazy a little bit in the half court. It was Jimmy Butler that was calming them down and say, hey, get me the ball in the high post. Let me find you guys. Let me find myself. Even when he was in the split action in that mid post, a little extended outside, he was able to face up, pull up, and get Cade Cunningham a foul really quickly. Little moves like that is what Jimmy Butler can bring in just frustrating the opponent, keeping that basketball IQ, and putting his team in a good position in which they can feel confident about the next play up.
That's the thing about Jimmy Butler, I think, is the basketball IQ. He gets into the paint, and then he always seems to know the right moment to finish, maybe try to go up through contact or to facilitate and find his teammates, someone cutting on the weak side, kicking out. I mean, the Warriors had a lot of open three-point opportunities because Jimmy Butler was able to get through on the dribble penetration and then find the open shooters. The shots just weren't falling, unfortunately, for the Warriors, especially early on in this game. But Jimmy Butler's creation, again, the space in the offense, because of the way he forces the defense to collapse, changes this Warriors team. I also think the physicality he brings to the floor in a game like this is huge for the Dubs.
Yeah, that's where my eye went right away. How many free throws did he have? He was 6 of 7, but he told us before he doesn't shy away from bully ball. He likes the contact, and he adds some of that swagger that maybe the Warriors just needed to turn up a little bit. He's also emerging, Jimmy Butler, as the number 2 scorer, somebody consistently scoring behind Steph, which is something the Warriors were missing earlier in the season.
Absolutely.
All right, when we come back on Toyota Warriors Postgame Live, we need to hear from the head coach, Steve Kerr, and why don't we put the spotlight on one Gui Santos? He had some game-changing plays. That's next. Gui Santos, we need to celebrate him. He fouled out of this game. He had one of the best plays of this game following a Steph Curry 3.
Gui Santos was knocking down shots left and right, ladies, but I really just think it was the energy and the high motor that he brought to the floor that made the difference. As you see him flying around, he's also knocking it down, from deep. He had a huge offensive board in the fourth quarter, a putback and one opportunity that I just think those hustle plays like that block make a difference in terms of the momentum swing for the Warriors. He's a high motor player, Gui Santos is. High energy. He can play make. He can facilitate for others and then also hunt his own shot. I am so excited to see what the future holds for Gui Santos. He's an NBA player, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, I know that Leandro Barbosa was already the Brazilian blur. I want to say maybe the Brazilian beast, because the way that Gui Santos comes into the game, he is the definition of relentless. He is the definition of never say die. He goes after balls, and his stat line doesn't always reflect what he's able to do. For example, tonight, 15 points. Cool. Plus 14? Yes. This is the one time that I'm like, yes, the plus minus actually makes sense, because the amount of extra possessions that he got for his team, that is what Gui Santos brings to the Warriors. And it's funny that Monique Billings, of all people, was like, I'm taking notes on Gui Santos, because if you watch Monique Billings this game, that's exactly what she brings. She is a workhorse, very similar to Gui Santos in making those extra hustle plays. And that's key for success for the Warriors.
All right, Gui had that put back on the Steph Curry 3
he forced that
jumped
in.
higher than Thompson, shoved it in, fell back, leaped up, and got the crowd in a frenzy.
Unreal.
That's the kind of stuff that endears yourself to the fans, to your teammates, hustle plays like that. One of the other guys who makes hustle plays, Moses Moody, had his time in this game defending Cade Cunningham a little bit. Moses Moody in the starting lineup, and good things tend to happen, Kylan, when Moses is out there.
Moody finishes with 12 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, but it's what he does that doesn't show up on the stat sheet that makes the difference for the Warriors, as you see him running down loose balls, diving on the floor, just really good and sound defensively, and taking on that assignment you mentioned of guarding Cade Cunningham, who's averaging more than 25 points per game. And Moses Moody accepts those roles. He stays ready as you got the tight shot of his face there. I just am so impressed with the way he carries himself and brings that energy night after night.
It's so important to have a person like Moses Moody on this roster. When you think about the athleticism of the Warriors, it's really Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga that are leading the charge. There's a picture out there of Moses Moody in which I think he's like 15 and turns and he's got his arm touching the top of a door frame and the other arm touching the floor. That is his wingspan, folks. That's what you have to battle
That's
against.
7 feet?
That's crazy. You have
wild.
to dribble against that. You've got to have a tight dribble when Moses Moody is playing against you, because not only does he have quick hands, he's also got so much better with his lateral defense. He used to have tight hips, not being able to cut off people and being able to get back in front. And you saw that all night, especially in the first half, being able to keep Cunningham to under 10 points in the first half. That was Moses Moody really doing that job on his own for a little bit. And so it was really impressive to not only see him getting in front of Cade Cunningham, but also getting those extra hustle points.
Yeah, you could look at 3 of 11 for Moses Moody. Not an efficient night, but you can still make the winning plays.
Correct.
You can still
make an
contribute
impact
to this win, because when the Warriors are looking for separation, when there's 22 lead changes, where do they get it? It was the little things in this game. You can see they out-rebounded the Pistons a little bit. Ball was moving a little bit more, and it says same amount of blocks here. The Pistons are deadly in points in the paint. But the Warriors still coming through with just a little bit more threes, a little bit more to win this game. Let's hear from Steve Kerr, brought to you by BMW, to get his take on where the Dubs got the edge.
Steve, obviously that was a kind of a slow game, kind of a push and shove game. Did you like was the competitive spirit? What did you like most about this win for you guys?
Well, I love the fact that we came off that long road trip. 6-hour flight yesterday, 5:30 game against probably the most physical team in the league. They lead the league in fouls, and they play to their strength. Literally they are strong at every position, physical, and these are always hard games coming off these types of road trips, long trips, 3-hour time change. So thrilled with just the competitive spirit. The energy, the effort that it took to win a key game. I mean, every game's key, obviously, now, but the first game of a homestand, we knew it would be tricky regardless, just with the travel, but especially against a team like that that's playing so well and is so physical.
Can you describe what you saw on the play when Draymond hit the three? It looked like he was obviously trying to get to Steph. They kind of had Steph smothered.
Yeah. I mean, Detroit just decided we're going to make somebody else beat us. And so Draymond's guy just backed way into the paint and doubled Steph. And Draymond, it's one of his best qualities is his confidence, his how brash he is. Did not hesitate, just rose up, and that thing was pure. Just never a doubt, and beautiful to see. And then, we make Moses makes the big steal. Draymond knocks down another free throw, and we were able to close the game.
Steve, you guys have won a lot of games lately, but this team is, like you said, it's a big team. They're athletic, and they also play kind of bully ball. Yeah. What do you take from your team to be able to pull a game like this out against a team like that? Because when the playoffs come around, probably going to see some of that kind of activity. Yeah, it was physical. It was testy. A lot of pushing and shoving, and so to win a game like that, when clearly we were tired and trying to get our legs underneath us coming off that trip, it's a big time win. And I think Jimmy, this is part of the Jimmy dynamic. He's built for these kinds of games. He just gets the ball and he'll get us a shot, and he'll get to the line, and he'll take big shots. And it's playoff Jimmy's a real thing. And in some ways that felt like a playoff game, like you said, the physicality and how kind of it was kind of a rock fight, frankly, and guys like Jimmy really thrive in these type games.
Steve.
37 minutes for Jimmy Butler. And yeah, tired but tough the Golden State Warriors were, because this did have a playoff feel to it, the intensity. And as we think about tracking for success, courtesy of MyFitnessPal, these were our keys to the game. The Warriors did get out to a fast start, but then, Zena, the rock fight happens.
There you go. I'm erasing this key to success. I'm going to replace it with get out to a fast start. Okay, it might go away, but sustain yourself. Compose yourself. Be able to keep yourself in this fight. Usually earlier in the season, in that mid-season when they were losing games, the Warriors would not have been able to bounce back from the physicality and the consistency of the way that the Pistons were attacking them. And they were able to do that. I love that. Thriving in transition. Didn't do great in that category, Kylan. Detroit did their thing. That's why they're leading in fast break points in the last 12 games.
Here's the thing. I think there were definitely ugly moments for the Warriors defense throughout this game. You see 23-7, the Pistons had the edge in fast break points because the Warriors defense was caught sleeping. They were not good enough in transition defense. You have to hustle back. You need to have intensity. You need to communicate. There was a play in that fourth quarter where I looked at Zena and I said, the Pistons got a wide open three, but the Warriors have 4 players back. They made it back in the half court, but nobody is talking about who is guarding who and who's going to go and close out the shooter. And I feel like that was a big, big part of that problem that led to the fast break points, was not just the hustle factor, but also a matter of who is communicating and who's guarding who.
And it was KYP. Chris Mullin always says this. It's know your personnel. Do not leave Malik Beasley just running around free in transition. And if you remember, it was Stephen Curry that had the turnover to lead to that. And he was the one that ended up having to be contesting Malik Beasley. That is, time and place. You got to know your personnel. You got to be in the moment. So that was a moment where they kind of slept a little bit. But again, Warriors found more moments to wake up, like that last play with Moses Moody, like Draymond Green hit that
the
three.
defense came through down the stretch, and I think that's what ended up deciding this game. But had they been able to swing the fast break points a little bit, then we wouldn't have been in a clutch game situation, which at some point you hope the Warriors get to a little bit less clutch games, maybe?
Sure.
Good for all of our heart rates and stress levels.
I would appreciate that if it wasn't so darn heart pounding in the last 5 minutes. How about a nice, safe, cushy lead? Right? But minimum, congratulations to the Warriors for getting the W tonight. All right, when we come back on Toyota Warriors Postgame Live, our Women's Empowerment broadcast continues with a special interview with Drew Jones. She's the Santa Cruz Warriors sideline reporter. She's got some insights about some of the